Off the tournament, followed by LSU Georgia. Tennessee and Vanderbilt will play the winners of those games. This report is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knesvik for 102.5-106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Score by Matt Duchene.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, and even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And a good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Michelle Knezovic, the reporter Nick Keyser here with you. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your day, as we got a lot to get into because rumors are a-swirling out there when it comes to the two-tone blue, the Tennessee Titans. Could they really move running back Derrick Henry? According to reports, Mike Silver putting out there that he is being shopped. That was one of the things that Rand Carthon was talking about during the combine, that he was asking around maybe what the value was, and could they actually move on and trade Derrick Henry, which, again, when we get into semantics of what is a rebuild and what is a reset, I still think Derrick Henry in the running back position would be more reset, even though that would hurt. If you're moving on from the quarterback, then I feel that's a full-on rebuild in the NFL. Michelle, good morning. What's up?
Good morning, Chase. Doing well this morning. And we're going to need to get into that because you and I have different, I feel like, opinions on reset, rebuild. Because if they move off Derrick Henry, I'm looking at this franchise like a rebuild. Not so much because of the position, but because of what Derrick Henry is to the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, no doubt. Derrick Henry is has been the MVP of this team. Now I would argue the most important and the best player on the team is named Jeffrey Simmons at this point. You need to get him re-signed, and I do believe that they're going to do that. That's where the money is going to go. I take nothing away from what Derrick Henry has done for this team. He's a fantastic human, a fantastic athlete. But at this point, when you look at the career lifespan of a running back, if they were to move off of him and get the most they can for him, I don't think that's a horrible idea. Now, I don't want to see it necessarily. I'm just looking at it from a strategic point of view, and nobody wants to hear this because it's Derrick Henry. The running back position can be replaced pretty easy. It can. And yes, I hear what you're saying. What he's brought to the team, what he's done as a catalyst on offense would be very hard to replace. But I think that's really the reason they're looking at it.
I think, I completely understand what you're saying with the running back position. I mean, if you just look at this Tennessee Titans team, last year we saw Deontay Foreman be able to pretty much keep up production when Derrick Henry was out via injury. Whereas this year, when Ryan Tannehill was out, it wasn't an easy position to fill and be able to keep up winning. But I think the reason it wouldn't be a rebuild as far as, you would have to lose, right? You know what I mean? Like rebuild and your team is tanking or whatever to get a high draft pick. But I think I would look at the rebuild as in the franchise is rebuilding and somebody else is going to become the face of this franchise. Just because
they're rebuilding the identity.
Yes, 100%. That is the way I look at it. Not so much rebuilding in a sense of you're going to have to suck next year and tank to get a high pick, because I do think the running back position, and you laid it out, and we saw they were able to do it just 2 years ago. The rebuilding would be in the sense of Derrick Henry has been your face of the franchise. It would be somebody else.
Yeah, and look, I think the fans would have a hard time with this. I would have a hard time with this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying do it. I feel like he's got, a couple more good years left. I mean, he was 1,700-yard running back last year. That's not bad at all, second in the league. However, when you are playing the game of looking ahead at your franchise, and let's just say that 2026 is a goal for them. 2026 is when they're supposedly going to open this new stadium. Maybe it's 2027. But they want to be a championship contender at that point. Before that is whatever. But at that point, when they open the stadium, they want to not just be win the AFC South, not just make the playoffs. They want to be a bona fide hang with Kansas City, hang with Buffalo, hang with Cincinnati championship contender. And so if I am Rand Carthon, and here's the other piece of this. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I brought this up with Caroline too. Rand Carthon has zero connections to anybody. And I think that's a good thing because he comes in here with a completely clear head. He can sit down, and yes, it's a collaboration, but he can look Mike Vrabel and Amy Adams Strunk in the eyes and say, I believe we should move on from this Hall of Fame running back, and here is why. This is what this is going to do for our franchise. It's a tough conversation to have, but I respect him for having it because, again, 2026, if that's the goal, to be a championship contender, then you got to make some moves now, just like the Predators have done. They've made some tough decisions, but now David Poyle's put that franchise in a better spot than it has been.
No, I agree, Chase, that Rand Carthon is a fresh set of eyes and ears, doesn't have a connection to anybody coming in here and can have that conversation with Mike Vrabel. But on the other hand, Mike Vrabel is the one making the final decisions here. It's not Rand Carthon. And I think that was clear with Mike Vrabel staying, John Robinson leaving, and hiring a new GM in Rand Carthon. He can have that conversation with Mike Vrabel, but I look at this as Mike Vrabel still has relationships with all of these players, and it will be Mike Vrabel's decision ultimately.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I don't think he wants to sign up for a full-on rebuild, but that's why, and I say with the quarterback position, if you trade Tannehill, it's a rebuild. It also depends on what you're doing at quarterback. I mean, even if you trade up and you get C.J. Stroud, who everybody's saying the Titans seem to like C.J. Stroud. If you do that, then, yeah, you're rebuilding, but it could be quick because you're restarting your franchise with a new supposed franchise quarterback. And now, if I'm doing that, I would like to have Derrick Henry in the backfield if I'm him because you got a veteran presence, you got a guy you can trust. You got it because you got a second-year wide receiver. You don't know what the other wide receivers are going to look like. They're going to have a completely new offensive line. So if I'm Mike Vrabel, I want to be like, I want 22. I know we might be able to get a little more for him right now, but I would want 22, especially if I have a rookie quarterback. But it just kind of depends on what they're trying to do. Now, Teron Davenport was on yesterday with Caroline Willie and D. Mason, talked about running backs and potential or no first rounder for Derrick Henry.
With Derrick Henry, and I'm with you, I would be shocked if the Titans did decide to move off of Derrick Henry. But I'll ask the same question about Henry that I do with Ryan Tannehill. Whenever people talk about moving on from Ryan Tannehill, I always ask, okay, well then who's the quarterback? If the Titans do decide to move forward without Derrick Henry, then my question is, okay, well then what does your offense look like? I mean, so much of this offense, no pun intended, runs through Derrick Henry.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much revolves around him, and you even look at how he affects the passing game. So there's a lot that could be said for his role with the team. I do think Hassan Haskins is a solid back. There are some pretty solid backs in this draft. I mean, if you could get, Bijan Robinson, you're really doing well, but you'll have to use a first-round pick on him. So, trading Derrick Henry, it would all depend on what it would yield and how you could go ahead and use that pick to possibly move up. We saw C.J. Stroud's excellent workout. We saw Anthony Richardson's workout as well. So it's just one of those things where you just have to look at what it's going to get you. I don't think Derrick Henry gets you a first-round pick, though.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You're not getting a first-round pick for an aging running back.
I don't even think you'll get a second. I think a third at best.
Right.
And that's a stretch.
And then you have to decide, is that worth it? Is it worth and we mentioned they'd clear about $6 million in cap space somewhere in there because there'd still be a dead cap hit. by moving him. So is a third-round pick at best worth it for moving Derrick Henry? And also I'll ask, two sidebars. I'll ask the question to the fans. How would you feel about it? Like, be honest. Like, when you're looking at the overall big picture of the football team and they move on from one of the most popular and best players they've ever had, how would you feel about that? And two, if they draft Anthony Richardson, I'm going to be pissed. I'm just telling you that right now.
Well,
I am not sold.
If they draft him, here's the thing. If I was a fan of a different a different team, say maybe the Seahawks, and my team was like, we're going to draft Anthony Richardson, they're in a much different position. You have Geno Smith, who just took you guys to the playoffs. You have some young rising stars, receivers, DK Metcalf. You have a very good roster right now, a playoff team. You ended up playing the 49ers, and they beat the brakes off you. But the Tennessee Titans are not in position to draft a quarterback who is a project and who needs to sit for probably 2 years, 1 to 2 years, maybe. Anthony Richardson is a freak athletic-wise. I mean, we saw his numbers at the Combine. He's the clear winner of all of those drills, right? But he needs a lot of work. And I think the way he'll be very successful is by, sitting for 1 to 2 years and then getting out there. The Tennessee Titans don't have time like that. When you talk about the stadium coming up, they don't have time to draft a guy who's a project. I mean, you just drafted a guy in the 3rd round, Malik Willis, who's a project. I know they're completely different players and that Anthony Richardson is probably going to go in the top 10 and his ceiling is a lot higher. But I don't think the Tennessee Titans have time for that right now. If they're drafting a quarterback, it needs to be somebody who can play right now, Chase.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I would say that, there are a couple of project-type quarterbacks that you could probably get away with because you could go the Patrick Mahomes route and sit him for a year and then turn the keys over and go that way. Maybe do that route. But I hear what you're saying. Like, you don't have 3 or 4 years to develop a guy, which is basically what I think we're looking at with Malik Willis. 615-737-1025. That is our number. How would you feel if the Titans traded Derrick Henry? We'll take your calls and your texts coming up next. Chris Sanders is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll get his thoughts on the Derrick Henry stuff and all things with the Titans. That's all coming up next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the adventurous new RAV4. The best-selling SUV in America is the right-size vehicle for you. Now through April 4th, you can get low 3.99 APR financing on a new 23 RAV4. With approved credit through TFS, excludes hybrids, and every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Get complete details at buyatoyota.com. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places.
Yes! Hey, Jim, everything okay? Did you see that catch?
No. Yeah, I'm happy about the touchdown. Just things are kind of off with me and Tiffany.
Hey, what's going on?
It's a little embarrassing, but I'm not making it happen in the bedroom. I don't know what's going on with me. And now Tiffany's upset. She thinks I'm not attracted to her anymore.
Hey, I had the same problem. But, man, I found a secret.
Oh, yeah?
I started going to the Tennessee Men's Clinic for treatments, and boom, our sex life improved. Plus, I started taking testosterone, and I've got loads more energy.
Tell me more. Maybe it'll work for me.
The people at Tennessee Men's Clinic are low testosterone and ED specialists with multiple treatment options. It definitely helped me. And I got to tell you, now I can go the distance every time. Heather says I'm better than ever.
Hey, I'm in. What's their contact info?
You can book appointments online or just give them a call.
Great. Thanks, man. Hey, could you move away from the TV? You can't see.
Your first visit to the Tennessee Men's Clinic is only $99. Book your appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or book online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card to their new location in Antioch at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, new location in Antioch at 2209 Murfreesboro Pike. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Who piqued the Titans' interest at the NFL Combine last week? Whose draft stock rose? Whose draft stock fell? All of that from 11 to 2 tomorrow on 102.5 The Game.
Taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is going to get blown out of proportion.
Go ahead.
But it is what it is.
Because I would.
But you talk about you might have 3 more weeks. I mean they might want to get me out of here. You just never know. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I'm 29. I'm up in age. What happened with this year, and they might want to go young. You just never know. They might.
I would be.
I'm not saying I want to leave. I love Tennessee, and I hope to be here the rest of my career. I want to bring Super Bowl here, but it's a reality thing. It's just the business side of it. You just you just never know. My age being 29 in the league and a running back, that's considered that's old.
Derrick Henry on the Bussing with the Boys podcast, and you never know what might happen. I remember one time Darren and I put a promo together where you said you never know what's going to come up on the show, and then Ken Wisenhunt got fired the next day. So you never know
Foreshadowing.
what's going to happen. There you go. 615-737. That is our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. How would you feel if the Titans traded King Henry, Derrick Henry, who is, he's no offense to Earl Earl Campbell's still probably the best in franchise history, but no offense to Eddie George. Derrick has surpassed that. I think Eddie gladly hands that crown off to him, but it would certainly be a really tough situation to see, but I understand why it's being talked about. I understand why it's out there. The Titans have made moves this offseason that show you they are resetting, moving in a different direction. They have not confirmed the Bud Dupree move yet, which is interesting, but I feel like that's coming. It could be a post-June 1st designation for him, because I can move a little bit more money. But, certainly something that you got to keep an eye on. But you and I have different definitions of rebuild and reset. Do you think that they're inching towards a rebuild? If that's where this is going?
It's tough right now because right now we're only seeing what pieces they're getting rid of. Right? We talked about free agency doesn't start until next week, so you can't sign anyone right now. You're not drafting anybody right now. You were at the Combine looking at different players, but right now we're just seeing some of the cuts. You saw Taylor Lewan, who was a big part of this franchise for a very long time, but we discussed that. We would not be surprised because his contract was so big for how much he wasn't on the field. You saw him get rid of Randy Bullock, Zach Cunningham after they gave Zach Cunningham a contract, and Robert Woods, and then the report of Bud Dupree from Ian Rappaport that they are expected to release him. Right now, I feel like we're just seeing a lot of players getting released or expected to be released, and then of course conversations are going to come out at the Combine. You've got all the GMs there. Everybody's going to talk about, what could you get for this guy and what could you do for that guy and things like that. I don't look at it right now like the Tennessee Titans are going into rebuild mode. I truly don't. If there were to be some bombshell move next week or something like that, they're trading Ryan Tannehill, I look at that as a rebuild in you are going to tank next year and try to get a quarterback high in the draft in 2024. But sure. I look at if they were to move on from Derrick Henry, I look at it as a rebuild in a different way. I look at it as a rebuild of the face of the franchise. It's similar to, John Robinson leaving and Rand Carthon taking over. It's just like another step in the franchise. He's been, your most important player for so long. He's been your franchise player. He's broken so many records, right? And the Tennessee Titans are known for their run game, and Derrick Henry has had a phenomenal career here. And not saying it's over, but
right.
It just would be a different type of rebuild.
Yeah, and I just happened to look at the text line, and Alex from Montreal says all the mistakes J-Rob has made is leading us to a rebuild. I love how people now are just completely just kicking J-Rob while he's down. I think people are so quick to – hey, by the way, do you know who drafted Derrick Henry?
J-Rob.
John Robinson.
And Jeffrey Simmons. And
Jeffrey
A.J.
Simmons,
Brown. And
A.J.
Kevin
Brown,
Byard.
yeah. Did he make mistakes that ultimately cost him his job? Sure he did. But let's stop this whole kicking him while he's down and just blaming him for everything and calling him the worst general manager in the world, which I have heard people do that.
Oh, gosh.
Like, the dude's going to get another job. Like, just pump the brakes a little bit.
He also
it
took
drives me
this
nuts.
franchise to
Winning
somewhere
record.
it hadn't seen.
Yeah, winning record every year. And they probably would have still had a winning record this year and made the playoffs had she not fired him in the middle of the damn season.
Jeez,
Sorry.
fired up.
Gets me fired up
Woo.
this morning. Don't pick on J-Rob. He's not here anymore. Let's go to the phones, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Grant wants to weigh in. Grant, what's up?
Hey, Grant.
Hey, well, in my opinion, I think it's time to part ways with Derrick Henry. My opinion, if it was me and I was running the show, I would go after Dante Foreman and get him back. Dante and Hilliard were a great combination when Derrick was out, and they're both younger. And Foreman runs like Henry does, and it'd be a whole lot cheaper.
Thanks,
Okay.
Grant.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Grant. I look, Deontay Foreman was a nice fill-in piece, but as somebody pointed out on the text line earlier, and I completely agree, you weren't loading the box for Deontay Foreman. So, no offense to him. And again, I've said you can replace the running back position, but let's not call this apples to apples, because it's not at this point.
No, Deontay Foreman signed a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Carolina Panthers. So that was after he left the Titans last year. Chase, I think you mentioned it. I mean, he was able to keep up production, but people aren't sending their entire line to go tackle him like they are Derrick Henry. And he also isn't going to be able to put up the yards Derrick Henry was able to stack the last couple of seasons, right? I mean, if he didn't hurt his foot last year, he would have gone back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. So it's just different. Yeah, he's a way cheaper option, but, I mean, it wouldn't be I guess if you are going to move on from him, I mean.
Well, if you're going to tank, then
sure. Why not?
But I mean, this is the other thing that I love, and I'm just feisty today. But there's a it's like, oh, you get a semi good player that has a handful of games that's good, and everybody's like, oh, let's bring that guy back. Let's not look at any other options. Let's just bring that guy back. And I'm not picking on you, Grant, I promise. But it's Deontay Foreman's name comes up a lot. I think they should have never let him go. They should have brought him back. I mean, if you had and I like the draft pick of Hassan Haskins, and maybe he's going to turn out to be good. Who knows? But I would have been totally fine if the running back room was Derrick Henry, Deontay Foreman, and Dontrell Hilliard. I would have been totally cool with that. And then maybe you still draft Hassan Haskins and have those four, and you're using a tight end as the fullback, whatever. I'm good with that. But they didn't. They let him go, and he got a pay bump, and he deserved it. But to sit here and say you'd rather go to Deontay Foreman than Derrick Henry, I can't get on board with that. Let's go to Donnie, 615-737-1025. Donnie, what's up?
Hey, Donnie.
Well, I'm going to have to take the opposite opinion that you have. I would have traded Derrick Henry last year. That's one of our problems as a team. We hang on to players that make too much money and don't really help us. The problem with Derrick is a great runner. There's never any question about that. But you said it yourself. They put the defenses put their whole line up there to stop Derrick Henry. And we continue to try to run the football, and that's why we do so well during the season. But when we get to the playoffs, they shut Derek down. He does good if he gets 50, 60 yards, and that doesn't help us. I still believe Dalton Hilliard and Dante Foreman gave us all the yards that Derek gave us, plus they can both catch the ball out of the backfield. As long as Mike Vrabel has a say in what we do, whether we keep Derek or not, we're not going to win anything this year either. We're not going to get to the playoffs because he's hard-headed. Derek needs to go, and if it were me, I'd go ahead and trade Tannehill, get rid of him too, because we can. I'm an Alabama fan, but I can tell you that the kid from Tennessee that came in and played after he was only there 3 days.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs.
He played well. He's good enough to get me through a year of trying to rebuild, or we're going to need the money to sign a really good quarterback, and we don't have one. But I think he would suffice, and that's what I'd do. I'd go ahead and cut it because you'll need that money later.
All right, thanks for the call, Donnie. Yeah, appreciate it, Donnie. All right, this is what I'll say to that, because Donnie's basically saying you blow it up and you rebuild. That's what I took away from that call. But to his first point that he would have traded Derrick Henry last year, I will push back and say, what did we spend the entire offseason talking about?
Being great around Ryan Tannehill.
Well, besides that, Derrick Henry specifically. How's the foot?
Oh, yeah.
How's Derrick Henry going to be? If we're talking about that here, don't you think other teams are talking about that too? So if we're saying you might get a third-round pick for him now, I think you would have gotten less last year because he's coming off a pretty big injury.
No, Chase, I completely agree. And, I mean, to Donnie's point, the 3 playoff games Derrick Henry has won. He's rushed for 156 yards, 182, and 195 yards. So he does perform in the playoffs. And, I mean, when you look at this year and the defenses against him stacking the box even more is because you don't have an A.J. Brown to the left or right of him. That's also another threat there. I think that's – and he still was the second in rushing in the NFL this year. So I think that's also, another big point. We talked so much about how's the foot going to be? Is he going to be able to have production this year? And we can sit here and watch and say, he looks a little slower. Maybe he would have broke through that tackle. Okay, whatever. Well, the guy still was second in the NFL for rushing this year. So, yeah. I mean, maybe he's taken a step back. The guy has a plate in his foot, doesn't he? I mean, right. But it's not like he's not a good player anymore, and I will not stand for that. Yeah, he's a running back, so he's not going to have as much trade value because people's offense they're just shifting and they're different offenses. They're Kansas City Chief offenses where you have these elite quarterbacks who can sling the ball down the field with elite wide receivers. But let's not say that Derrick Henry is not a good player anymore because that's just not true.
Right. No, not at all. And that's why I ultimately think they're going to end up keeping him. I don't think they're going to move on. The text line's blowing up. People are we yes. have gotten them fired up this morning. Here's the other thing. Somebody pointed this out, and this is not just Donnie. I've noticed this with you. I mean, you do it sometimes. You're in the middle of just a random sentence, and you're talking about something. Well, I'm an Alabama fan, or I'm a Kentucky fan, or I'm a Tennessee fan. Just you got to throw that in there somehow. That makes me laugh every time. Hey, you know what? I'm a Vanderbilt fan. Co-coach of the year.
I think he threw it in there, though, because he was talking about Derrick Henry, and he wanted to be like, no, I love Derrick because I am an Alabama fan.
Right.
But,
yeah, maybe so.
And, yes, the text line is blowing up right now, Chase.
We will get to all of these. Chris Sanders, forever Titans wide. I'm a Chris Sanders fan. I'm just going to throw that out.
We all are.
Forever Titans wide receiver, going to join us next. We'll get his thoughts on all of this. That's next on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let's talk some Hair Club because I've been talking about them. I've been telling you about them because I wanted to do something about my power outages upstairs, so I gave Hair Club a call. You should do the same thing because guess what? They have all the solutions, whether it's restoration, regrowth, small problems, big problems, whatever. They have answers, and they're all tailor-made just for you because guess what? We're all a little bit different. All you need to do is go in for a free consultation, and they'll help you out with whatever that hair situation is for you. Fill out the form at hairclub.com/Chase. That's my name, CHASE, to schedule your free consultation, and they'll give you 10% off anything that you happen to purchase just because I sent you. You can also text Chase, CHASE, that's me, to 694-247. That's 694-247. It's Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is extended. Get up to 50% off doorbusters and 40% off in every department, including 4K TVs, computers, gaming consoles, Bluetooth speakers, smartwatches, and more. Refresh your kitchen with appliances in stock and ready to deliver. And buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is here at Genesis Diamonds. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. These are carefully chosen timepieces in pristine condition. It's time to treat yourself for something great. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a beautiful pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings of the highest quality free. That's a $6,000 value. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers are on site offering top dollar for your Rolex. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of our special financing and get a 2-carat lab-grown pair of diamond stud earrings of the highest quality valued at $6,000 absolutely free. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs. While supplies last, see store for details.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Chase and Michelle podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
I got some good news. Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. 'Cause here we are back where we were before.
Chris is picking out the music. I can tell. Back here at Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chris Sanders, forever. Titans wide receiver with us. One of my favorites.
That brings back memories, huh? When I won against the silly pick underdog, right? Does that bring back memories?
Yes, yes. And you know what? You're a two-time champion, and you throw things up against a dartboard. And I'm
like the Tom Brady of that, ain't I?
You really are.
Man.
You're a 6th-round pick that nobody gave a chance to.
Hey, but I'm going to three-peat this year, so I'm going to win it again by 200 points this time, guaranteed.
You might. Look, I've learned not to doubt you. That's for sure.
How y'all doing, man? It's good to hear from y'all.
Hey, we're doing fantastic.
Doing good, Chris.
Doing fantastic,
How you
Chris.
doing, Caroline?
Michelle, good.
Michelle. How you doing, Michelle?
Doing good.
Y'all sound alike.
It's okay. We get that a
How you
lot.
doing? Y'all doing good today? How was y'all's weekend?
We're fantastic. We're fantastic. We're great.
Good.
We're excited to talk some football with you.
Yes.
Do you think that the Titans could actually trade Derrick Henry?
I really do, and the funny thing that y'all bring this up is because I thought this last week because look at Rand Carthon. Look at how he built the 49ers team. And Derek talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's running back by committee. Look at the guys they had on the team. They had McCaffrey, they had Elijah Michael, they had Jeff Wilson. You know, McCaffrey had 746 yards. Michaels had 279 yards. Jeff Wilson had 468 yards. It equaled 1,493 with 3 guys that you don't have to pay that much. And then you have Henry that had 1,500 yards, and that's 1 guy. So the thing about it is, even though, we love Henry, and I think he's one of the best backs to ever be in this league and to ever be with the Titans, but we got to understand that it is a business, and that's exactly what Ray Carthon and Mike Vrabel are going to do. What's best for the team.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Chris. I mean, look, you're a former wide receiver, a professional athlete. You went through this. I remember, and I think you were gone at this point, but when they traded Eddie to Dallas.
Man.
I mean, nobody thought that you would ever move on from Eddie George and Steve McNair and Chris Sanders and Derek Mason and all these guys, but it happens. I mean, it's a part of the business, and every team gets to that point where you got to close the window to reopen it again with a new group of guys. And so I kind of feel like maybe they're going down that point. But if they trade him but they keep Tannehill, do you consider that to be a rebuild, or are they just hitting the reset button?
I mean, that's a tough question, because it could be a rebuild, but also, I just think at that position, they're trying to do what's best for the team. And just like those guys that I named with the running back by committee with the 49ers, I just think they have to do what's best for the team. And I know we love Henry, and I know Henry is the best. I just think that at this point, you got a 29-year-old back I'm not saying he's wearing down. I think he's still one of the best backs in the league, but you just have to do what's best for the team. And I know I've been listening to the radio, and I've been listening to people at the gym, and I've been listening to, a lot of the chatter that's going on. Everybody's saying this: if the Titans let Henry go, then I'm not looking at the Tennessee Titans anymore. You can't do that. The one thing that we have to do as fans and as people, because we love Henry, we got to tell our emotions to shut up, because our emotions are going to say, okay, he has to do this, he has to do that. But at the end of the day, what's best for the Tennessee Titans at this moment? So to answer your question, if they let Henry go, I'm not saying it's a rebuilding year. I just think that they're going in a different direction.
We got Chris Sanders on with us, Forever Titans wide receiver. So sticking on some of the veteran players, Chris, we discussed Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Look at a guy like Ryan Tannehill right now, and with Derek Carr deciding he's going to go with the Saints, Aaron Rodgers still has a question mark. But I look at a team like the New York Jets, and if they don't get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, could they be open? And do you think the Tennessee Titans should be open if they want to trade for a guy like Ryan Tannehill?
I don't think they should trade. And the reason why I don't think they should trade, because I don't know if they're going to get a quarterback in the draft. I know they have some good ones like Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, but I don't think those guys are going to be there. And then you look at free agent-wise, you got Baker Mayfield, you got Jimmy Garoppolo, you got, Teddy Bridgewater, you got Jacob Brissett, you got, Gardner Minshew. Those are just names. But when I name those names, are they better and they make your team better? I know everybody wants to get rid of Tannehill and do all those things, which is absolutely understandable, because we're going back to last year when, they lost a playoff game to Cincinnati. But at the end of the day, which quarterback is best for your team now? And if you listen to Ray Carthon and you listen to Mike Vrabel, that's exactly the same speech they're saying. What is the best decision for our team now? So in my opinion, I think you run it back with Tannehill, because he's number one, your best option.
Do you think that this Tennessee Titans team with Ryan Tannehill and, the draft this year, some free agency moves, can be a contender for the Super Bowl?
I mean, I think they can, and the reason why I say that is because you still have a pretty good defense. You got a okay secondary. You got some guys up front that can make some plays, but I just think that they got to get some pieces, especially on offense. They got to get the receiver position has got to upgrade. I know they have Burks, and I know Woods has been cut, but they just got to figure out the offensive line also. But at the end of the day, when you start tearing up a team and start putting different players in place, you're not going to have no karate. So what you want to do is on defense, keep your key pillar guys there. Like Simmons, we got to sign. We got to keep Bayer there. Then on offense, we got to figure out the offensive line situation. But keep the guys that are pillars on your offense, defense, and special teams.
Talking to Chris Sanders, Forever Titans wide receiver, here with us on Chase and Michelle. So looking at the draft, and I don't know how much of a deep dive you've done into the quarterbacks in this draft class. C.J. Stroud, what do you out of the Ohio State University? What do you think about him as a pro?
Man, I think he's going to be outstanding. And just watching him, in the combine, just his release. I mean, his footwork is good. I mean, if you look at when he was at Ohio State, this guy's a winner. He was 21-4. He broke 16 school record. He's accurate. His precision is outstanding. And the one thing I love about him is everybody talks about, him throwing the long ball and throwing the ball on time. but I love the way he goes through his progression in his first and his second and the third read. And as a quarterback, when the play breaks down, you got to consistently keep your eyes down the field. And I watched him play against Michigan. I don't like that team. I know they lost. But when he played some of those other games, I watched how he rolled out in the pocket. I watched, the little things that he did by keeping his eyes downfield and going through his progression. In my opinion, I think C.J. Stroud and Will Levis from Kentucky are pro-ready to start immediately when they get drafted.
So I feel like you're the perfect guy to ask this question to, because you've watched it both as a player and now as a coach at the high school level.
Yes.
But the evolution, and Steve, I think, had a lot to do with this, the evolution of the quarterback position, of going from these guys that, like you play with Chris Chandler, statues in the pocket, didn't have a lot of mobility. Then you got Steve that can, make magic with, with his arm and his legs.
Absolutely.
And, you've coached a guy like Marcel Reed there at NBA that can do that. And we've just seen this evolution of the quarterback where you pretty much have to have some mobility nowadays to make it. Even Joe Burrow. I mean, look at him. He can move around. Josh Allen. What has that been like for you to see as a former player and now a coach? And why do you think it's so important for the quarterback to have all those tools?
I mean, that's a great question, Chase. The thing about it is you got to look at the defenses. The defenses are fast, and, the defensive coordinators are going to send different types of blitzes to try to get you off your spot. And if you can't get off your spot and you can't roll out and make plays and you're like a statue, I mean, you're going to get killed in this league. Because if you look at Brady, I know he threw for a lot of yards this year, but when he started to get pressure and couldn't step up in the pocket and make the pass, that's where he struggled. But then you got a guy in the draft like Anthony Richardson who ran a 4.43, vertical jump 40.5, and he can move around in the pocket. He has a prototype of being a dual threat quarterback. You kind of want to get those guys because the defenses are so fast right now. You got defensive ends, running 4.4s and 4.3s, and you got defensive linemen that are running 4.7. So you got to figure out a way to get out the pocket. And if you stand back there as a statue, you're going to get hit in the mouth, and you're not going to last in this league, a long, long time.
We got Chris Sanders on with us, Forever Titans wide receiver. Chris, if you take a look at this team and say they decide to make some moves like moving off Derrick Henry, but they stay with Tannehill, they try to revamp the O-line, and say they aren't competitive next season and they have a losing season, how much do you put that on Mike Vrabel, and do you think that his seat could be a little bit warmer?
It's going to be a lot warmer, because the thing about it is if you don't make the playoffs in 2 years back to back, then I think a lot of people are going to get upset. I mean, if they come this year, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, you say they don't make it to the playoffs and they lose 11 games, there's going to be a lot of decisions going to have to make. They're going to start looking at the head coach. I know Carthon's going to maybe get a pass, but you got to start figuring out, okay, what's the identity of our team? What's the direction that we're going? And that's what, Amy and Ms. Shrunk is going to have to do to say, okay, what direction are we going? So, you can't keep having back-to-back losing seasons, because in the last 6 or 7 years, we're not accustomed to that. So if we have a losing season this year, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but they're going to have to look internally and say, what's the identity of a team and what's our direction?
Chris, this has been an absolute pleasure, because our direction is we are friends, and that's
man, absolutely, man.
Of course we are.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, if I ain't told y'all in a long time, I love my 102 Point family. I love you, Chase. I love you guys, and it is a joy to come on the radio, and I am so proud to be a part of this family, and I love you guys.
If you walk in my office, you will see an autographed picture of Chris Sanders in there.
I had more hair, and my hairline went back too far.
Yeah, I mean, but you still look good, man. You still look like you can play. So
Tim,
we appreciate this.
Anytime,
appreciate this as always, man.
All right, love you guys. Thanks.
Love you too, Chris. Have a good one. Chris Sanders, Forever Titans wide receiver, joining us here on Chase and Michelle. We a lot of you want to talk about this. Derrick Henry, and is it a rebuild? Is it a reset? 615-737-1025. That is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will get to your calls and your texts on that coming up next. Hey, join 1025 The Game live at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, on Thursday, March 16th. For the first day of tournament games. While you're there, take advantage of the Shot and Beer Special. Ooh, that sounds good. That's a shot of Nelson's Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey plus a bottle of domestic beer for just $10. Jasper's oversized bar, TVs, and game room make them the place to catch all of the games this year. That's coming up on 1025, 1063 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
Back to Johansson, and Johansson tips it in with one hand on the stick.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
All right, boys and girls, make 2023 the year that you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. There's no fancy computer algorithms. There's no guys across the pond setting the lines for American sports. It's just the best team of odds makers in the biz behind the counter at the Superbook there in Las Vegas. I'm going to be there in a few weeks. I'm going to sit there right in the Superbook, watch some games, make some bets. I cannot wait. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets that you will find anywhere. Do like I did. Download that Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. You deposit your money and you start making your bets. It's very easy to use, whether you want to do some futures. I've been putting some futures in. Baseball's right around the corner. You definitely want to look at that. Singles, parlays, they have it all. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Al Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville, or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet, and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
You're listening to Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do you think that there is, like, what would you put the probability maybe of the Titans going out and getting a quarterback in this year's draft? Whether that's moving up to the first overall pick to get a quarterback, whether that's a Hendon Hooker in the second or third round. What do you think the Titans would do at quarterback if they do decide to draft a quarterback in this year's draft?
I mean, if they draft one, I think C.J. Stroud would be the guy, but you're probably going to have to move up to 3 or probably at least 3 at a minimum to get him, and that depends on what the Bears do with the first-round pick, the first overall pick. So I could see them a bit later. If Anthony Richardson is on the board at 11, it's awfully hard to pass up. So that's a possibility too, but I think there's going to be 3 quarterbacks going in that top 10, and then you have Will Levis sitting there, and I don't think that they take him. So, in my opinion, I think they're going to roll with Tannehill, and they're going to have Dobbs and Willis there. I don't know that they draft a quarterback, at least in this year.
Teron Davenport yesterday on Caroline Willie and D. Mace. Back here, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic, and the reporter, Nick Keyser, with you. 615-737-1025. That is our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can call, you can text on Derrick Henry, reset, rebuild, whatever with the Titans. Michelle, I know we have a ton of texts. What are some that stand out?
Yes, we have a ton of texts right now. 1 second, my Chrome just shut. Okay, here we are. Okay, Coy in Clarksville says, I mean, for the Titans to finally join the 21st century and become competitive in a pass-first league, they have to do this. Do I agree? No, because he is a Hall of Fame running back, but I can see the direction they want to go. If this happens, Ryan Tannehill, 17, is good as gone. So that's an interesting conversation on if they get rid of Derrick Henry, but they keep Ryan Tannehill, and how will the fan base react to that, Chase? Somebody else, Trot on the text line, says, 2 first, a third, and a prospect for Henry. Anything less is a loss for Tennessee. Well, I can tell you one thing. That will not happen. You may be able to get 1 third-round pick, but you are not getting 2 first-round picks or 1 first-round pick or a second-round pick. A third-round pick, maybe, but I think a 4th is more likely.
Yeah, I mean, it's Derrick Henry, and we look at it as, oh, it's Derrick Henry, and you think there's a ton of value there. The rest of the league is going to go, great player, but he's a running back.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I mean, that's the brass tacks of it. He's a running back, and yeah, you know, you're stacking the box against him. It should make the rest of your offense better. Open up, I mean, and it did. You think about when he was healthy, they're stacking the box against Henry. A.J. Brown's getting open downfield. That's when it was a huge benefit. And oh, by the way, he was a bulldozer getting 2,000 yards. But other teams are going to look at it as, yeah, but he's still a running back and he's 29 years old.
Exactly. And, you know, another texter brings up the point that I was going to bring up to you, Chase. It says, the Titans are one-dimensional with Derrick Henry. 2019 was phenomenal because they were throwing the football as well as play action, and it was beautiful. It has strictly turned into a run offense, and that has to change. And, I mean, you look at a lot of this year compared to, or I'm sorry, last year when they were the number 1 seed. We'll go back even a step further compared to that 2019 team. I mean, you had a young wide receiver in A.J. Brown, you know, a tight end in Jonnu Smith. You had a Derrick Henry. You had a great offensive line. You know, I think a lot of these things play into it, and the offensive line play has gone south. You traded your best wide receiver. You got Austin Hooper this year, who is he's done some things as a tight end in the league. He was on that Atlanta team to go to the Super Bowl when he was a young rookie, but, you know, wasn't as effective this year. Didn't have a number 1 tight end last year, right? So you've seen it become more run focused. And as far as this year, I mean, you didn't have a great offensive line, and Derrick Henry was quite literally your only offensive threat. Treylon Burks a little bit towards the end of the season.
Right. And, you know, I'm looking through some of these too. Thomas in Nashville, I think, makes a good point. By the way, he says, good morning, ma'am, in suit. I like that.
It's Professor. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I wanted to weigh in on Derrick Henry. I know it's a business, and at some point they have to move on from him. But anyone saying Henry is not good anymore is crazy. He had all those yards this season with a lackluster line. If you shore up that line, he will probably be the leading rusher in the league. Thanks, guys. That's my 2 cents. I don't know if I'm going to say he's going to be the leading rusher in the league, but I agree. You fix the offensive line, that's going to help him. Here's why I don't know if he would be the leading rusher in the league. Even though he had 1,700 yards last year, if you watched him, that burst wasn't quite what it used to be, and you could see it. There was a time where you could watch him get the ball, he would get to the offensive line, and then it'd be like he's hitting the turbo button on Madden, and there would be that burst and he takes off. I didn't see that this year. Could it be because of the offensive line? Maybe. But I do think he's lost a little bit. But Derrick Henry losing a little bit is still better than most of the league.
I mean, I kind of hate when people say that about Derrick Henry because I get it. You know, I wasn't here covering the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry when he was in his full prime. And I get watching film and being like, oh, like, he definitely could have turned it up a notch if this was 2019 Derrick Henry. But, I mean, the production was there. He still almost led the league and could have very well led the league if he played in every game. He sat out for the Thursday night football game. And I know it's easy for us to sit back and say, well, he just lost a little bit of a touch. And if this was him, you know, a couple of years ago when he wasn't coming off the foot injury, he would have had a little bit more spark. But mean, Derrick Henry has, of course, he's 29 years old. He's almost going to be 30. He's a running back in the NFL. Of course, he's going to lose a little step. But, I mean, as far as production, it's still there.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying the production's not there. I think both can be true. Like he can lose a little bit and still be just as productive. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And again, it could be simply the offensive line. We might, if they get let's just say they bring Roger Saffold back at left guard, who opened up a lot of holes for Derrick Henry. If they do that, maybe you see it again. But I'm just saying what I saw was you could tell that speed burst wasn't quite what it used to be. It's not. I'm not saying it's a horrible thing. It's just what I noticed. There was another text that I wanted to comment on. Oh, here we go. Coy in Clarksville. Honest question. And this is a great question. Would you rather have AJ or Derrick Henry?
I read that, and in my head, I immediately went to DeAndre Hopkins because I thought he was talking about receivers for a second. And now that now I'm like, oh, obviously he's talking about Derrick Henry. That's a tough one on this current roster.
I guess I think he's asking right now.
You answer first.
I'd rather have AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Look, AJ is younger. He just he balled out this year. He helped his team get to the Super Bowl. Look, I don't think the Eagles go to the Super Bowl if they don't make that move. I don't. I think adding two bona fide number one receivers help you go to the Super Bowl.
Well,
I'd rather have AJ.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have AJ too. I mean, I look at the Eagles situation, and they also had a fantastic offensive line, a young quarterback, another electric wide receiver.
Sure.
A good running back. Like, AJ on that team is not AJ on this team.
Yeah, but he's still pretty damn good.
But Derrick Henry on that team?
Sure. I mean, but I mean, he's asking about this team, and you pick one or the other, and I'm giving you my answer. My answer is AJ. I think I would take the younger player that is showing he's only going to get better. That's my opinion. So that's a good question. Thanks, Coy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Coming up next, we will get into the Predators as they fall in overtime last night, 4-3, and a young pup looking really, really good. I'm liking what I see so far. We'll get into that. Coming up next, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
At 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, we recognize our veterans, active military, and first responders with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, Your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators fell 4-3 last night in the third round of a shootout in Vancouver against the Canucks. Nashville came back from a 3-1 deficit thanks to rookie Luke Evangelista, who scored his first 2 career NHL goals last night. GM David Poile joined Robbie and Rexroad this morning and weighed in on the rookie's play.
But he's a goal scorer. He's a point producer. He's been that his whole career in junior hockey. The year before, he scored over 50 goals in London. He's got a little bit of a pedigree.
And Ian Rappaport reported yesterday that quarterback Derek Carr has signed a 4-year deal with the New Orleans Saints. And according to Adam Schefter this morning, Baltimore Ravens will wait until today's deadline to franchise tag quarterback Lamar Jackson. And hey, in case you missed it, Vanderbilt men's basketball coach Jerry Stackhouse was named co-coach of the year in the SEC, while Liam Robbins was named SEC Defensive Player of the Year. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rexroad. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace.
Stone and Company. Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Cranks it, he scores!
On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
All the big topics.
That's what people want to know about.
Mixed with some entertainment.
So funny.
It's not funny.
Give it a minute.
This is Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
We got a great show for you, even if we don't, who cares?
Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Good positioning. He didn't see it at all. Here come the Preds. Right side. Sherwood with room. Save Seelovs. Rebound score! First NHL goal for Luke Evangelista. Preds got the lead to 3-2. 11:29 left in the third. Roman Josi left point, makes a spin move, left circle across, tipped on the way to Duchesne. Barry cranks one and scores! Preds tie the game with 3:05 to go, and Luke Evangelista leads the line. That's back-to-back third period goals for his first 2 on a tip-in to tie it.
That's Max Hers on the call last night on the Fifth Third Bank Nashville Predators Radio Network. Hour number 2, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic, and the reporter Nick Keyser. It was a late night in Vancouver. Predators get a point. Couldn't quite complete the comeback, even though Luke Evangelista tied it up with back-to-back goals in the third period. It would go to overtime, nothing doing there, and then Vancouver takes it in the shootout with Elias Pettersson scoring there. He got his 30th goal of the year earlier in the game, a 300th career goal. He's pretty good at the hockey, but this Evangelista kid looking pretty good at the hockey as well. Been very, very impressed with him, Michelle, through his first few games. Not only, with scoring last night, but the stuff that he's done away from the puck. He's drawn penalties. He just seems like he belongs right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was the young guy. Was that last week when David Poile came on with Robbie and Rexroad? He mentioned somebody would be making their NHL debut.
Yeah.
And we were trying to guess, and then it was released during our show that Luke Evangelista would make his debut. And a week later, look at him, right? I mean, he got a point the other day, off an assist, and now he got 2 goals. He has really shown that he's finding his way onto this team and the opportunities, right? I mean, we looked at the trade deadline and how selling older players and getting off some older contracts allowed some of these younger stars to come up from Milwaukee and get an opportunity in the NHL and play a good stint this year as they try to fight for a playoff spot. So, I mean, if you're a Predators fan, he's exciting to watch. And especially in just a short week, the progress he's been able to make in the NHL. It's very exciting, Chase.
Oh, it's so exciting because I think everything is working out how it needed to with this sell-off that the Predators have made, and a guy that Preds fans were really excited to see in Luke Evangelista. Now you're seeing him, and everything that everybody thought he was going to be, so far he is. Now it's 4 games. It's early. Not trying to be the Baby Ruth in the punch bowl, but that's what it is. And I think that he's going to, like any young rookie, going to go through the ebbs and flows of learning the National Hockey League. But the things that I have seen out of him so far impress me. And, again, it's the stuff, not just scoring goals. You know he can do that. It's the stuff away from the puck as well. Head coach John Hynes commented on his young winger last night.
What about Luke Evangelista? Obviously getting 2 goals tonight, but getting that top line time as well.
Yeah, I thought Luke looked good. He seems to get more and more comfortable, but he's got good offensive instincts. I really like how he competes. He doesn't shy away in the hard areas of the game, and I think his first goal was a long time coming. He could have certainly had more prior to tonight, but really happy that he got his first one tonight. That's a special moment for him.
Yeah, first 2, and it was special. So I think he is certainly fitting in, and I can't wait to see Forsberg back and see what those two can do. The other thing that I'd like to point out is I really like the move for Tyson Barrie. Obviously, Matthias Ekholm meant a lot to this team, but now that you have added another offensive defenseman in the form of Tyson Barrie to pair with Josi, I like where that's going, because that kind of reminds me of what they had with Ellis a few years ago. I still think when healthy, Ellis was probably a better defenseman or a better offensive defenseman. But I like what they've added with Tyson Barrie. He can quarterback a power play just like Roman Josi. You saw it last night. He sets up the second goal, fires it on net. I think he's fitting in nicely too.
Well, and Nick, what is the stat that you have on Tyson Barrie? He's second in goals off the power play in the NHL?
Well, I was about to look it up, but he, on Saturday at least, even after that game, and I think this changes after last night too, possibly, but he was tied for the most power play points by a defenseman. So last night that was not on the power play, but I am curious to see where he ranks. He's in that top 5. I mean, he's really good. He's a good quarterback on that power play.
So he's one of those guys that the Predators got that not too many people, I think, gave much of their attention to him joining the team, just because it was clear that they were selling off and people were focused on how much draft capital they were able to acquire in all of these trades. But here's a guy who's been able to be very productive on your power play in such a short amount of time, and that's been an area that the Predators have struggled with all year long.
Yeah, and that's why you're hoping that he can help improve that, and that you're trying to get one power play unit to be good, but if you can have 2 and spread the wealth a little bit, and we're seeing these young kids be a part of it, I think that certainly helps as well. So I like it. I think they're in a good position. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot right now. And you heard David Poyle earlier this morning on Robbie and Rex Road when talking about Connor Bedard, that the Predators are a long way off from being in the lottery to get him. And so if that's the case and you've acquired all these draft picks, it's a deep draft. You're going to have 13 draft picks this summer in Nashville at the draft. Why not keep making a run at it, with this team, see what they can do? And especially when you get some of these guys back. Parsonen will be back eventually. Tomasino's day-to-day with an upper body. He'll get back eventually. You get Forsberg back eventually. So you never know what they can do. Now, the thing that worries me is when I look at the schedule down the stretch, right now, and granted, they probably should have gotten 2 points last night, but they battled. It was Vancouver is a team kind of in the same position, or actually worse position, that they've been selling off for a while, and they're kind of like, well, hey, we're going to keep fighting. They got a lot of spunk in them, and so you get the point. You got to take care of these games. Arizona's next up. You need to go get 2 points there. But it's down the stretch that worries me because you're going to be going up against some of the top teams, and that's where I think some of the inexperience could come back to get you. Like they'll play Chicago, or they'll play Arizona. LA is going to be tough because LA is one of the best teams in the West. Anaheim's not very good. Detroit's not very good. Chicago's not very good. So you want to take care of those 3. But then you got to play Winnipeg and the Rangers back-to-back. That's going to be tough. Buffalo's going to be tough. 2 against Seattle. Toronto, Boston, Pittsburgh, things just pick up as you get towards the end of the season. So we'll see, what that means.
Yeah, Chase. I mean, I think it should be exciting too for Predators fans that although you're not banking on getting into the playoffs because of all the moves that you made, it would be really exciting and a pleasant surprise if you saw this young group of guys, almost like the misfit toys all together, right? Bringing a bunch of young guys up, getting a couple new guys in, selling off some of your big pieces, be able to find themselves in a playoff spot because of how hard it is to make the playoffs in the NHL. And once you're in, I mean, the experience that these guys could get, I think the way a lot of Predators fans view this is, I mean, the likelihood of losing out and being able to get in the draft lottery and actually get the number one overall pick is so slim. So I think the way a lot of people are looking at it right now is, let's just watch this team and see what they can do. They're having fun out there. And I think it's also a good opportunity, too, for Barry Trotz. I mean, he's the one who's going on the road trip with all of them. He's going to get to know a lot of the young players, a lot of the coaches, a lot of the people who work alongside this organization as they, young guys are getting opportunities. They got a lot of draft picks, and there's going to be a new era in Preds hockey.
Yeah, and I mean, it's already started, and it's fun. Preds 18% to make the playoffs right now. So, again, and I think this is what I love about where we're at with this fan base now is, and I feel the same way, the pressure's off. It's like, the plan. The plan is there.
Yes.
The plan is reset, and they did that, and they traded off a bunch of assets. They got a lot of draft capital back. A 0.6% chance for the lottery. That's good. Thank you, Reporter Nick, for that.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it is so slim right now.
Yeah.
And I just think if you're trying to bank on that, you'd rather these young guys just try to make a run and get the playoff experience than trying to bank on losing out and just maybe getting that pick.
I think either, I don't necessarily want to be middle of the road, which is kind of where they are, and that's probably where they're going to end up. But the fact that you have 13 draft picks for this year, I will take that. I think that's good. And like you said, these young guys are now getting experience with playoff type hockey, and when the heat's really up, that's going to be beneficial moving forward. So I think they're in a really good spot. They made the right moves, and now we'll see what happens with the future. We'll actually have a pair of tickets for the Predators and Kraken on Statue Day, March 25th. I almost said May. March 25th. We'll have your chance to win those coming up when Max Hers joins the show at the bottom of the hour, so be listening for that. But coming up next, can this new look Predators, can they keep it going? I mentioned the schedule at the end. What needs to happen for them to continue this run? We'll take your calls and texts on that, 615-737-1025. Our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll do that next. Chase and Michelle, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Make 2023 the year that you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. There's no fancy computer algorithms. There's no guys across the pond setting the lines for American sports. It's just the best team of odds makers in the biz, and they're right there behind the counter at the Superbook in Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets that you will find anywhere. So download that Superbook Sports app, load in your money, and get to making your bets. Whether you like making single bets, parlays, futures, it's all there. Baseball, basketball, both pro and collegiate, they have it all. You can even look ahead to football and start making some bets. It's right there at the palm of your hand in the Superbook Sports app. Start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hi guys, it's Mark with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our WAVE technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Curacion CBD products. Curacion began as our family's mission to provide the Nashville community with locally and organically sourced CBD products. We are passionate about providing high-quality CBD products for everyday use. Tinctures, topicals, and pet products too. We are a Pick-10 company. Our hemp is organically grown and produced in Nashville, Tennessee from sustainably sourced non-GMO genetics. All of our products are lab tested. Find all of our products at CuracionCompany.com.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is here at Genesis Diamonds. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. These are carefully chosen timepieces in pristine condition. It's time to treat yourself for something great. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a beautiful pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings of the highest quality free. That's a $6,000 value. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers are on site offering top dollar for your Rolex. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of our special financing and get a 2-carat lab-grown pair of diamond stud earrings of the highest quality valued at $6,000 absolutely free. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Spring. While supplies last, see store for details.
At Staples, school is always in session, and savings never take a holiday, especially now during Staples Teacher Palooza. You save big on everything for school, like 25% on classroom decor and stickers, up to 40% on brands like Post-it, Papermate, and Elmer's. Plus, 2-ounce bottles of Purell hand sanitizer are just 49 cents. During Staples Teacher Palooza, teachers save big, and so do you with classroom deals for everybody. But deals end soon, so hurry to Staples today. Offers end 3/11. In-store only while supplies last.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years? The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. Taking you through your mid-morning.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life.
Where'd you find those crazy characters?
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With all the changes you've had, that the group reacts to that message in that manner, like a lot of positives there?
Yeah, I even thought just the way that we played. I mean, we were kind of coming from behind a lot tonight, but I thought that we played, a pretty solid game. I really liked our effort, the speed that we played with, and the resiliency to be able to come back and stay with it and kind of take some of the things that we saw as coaches that need to be a little bit better, and the guys went out and executed.
Head coach John Hines last night after the 4-3 shootout loss. Back here, Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezvik, and the reporter Nick Keyser with you. And they did. They had a bounce back. And that's the big thing that I want to see. When the chips are down, when they're down a goal or two or what have you like they were last night, how do these young guys respond to that? Because I think that's where you really learn the most out of a player, especially one that, they're used to winning. They have a lot of skill. Milwaukee's been a good team. Evangelista is a top-tier prospect. But how do they respond when they are up against it, when things aren't going their way? And I liked the response last night. You know, they came up a little bit short, couldn't quite complete the comeback. That's going to happen at times, but the fact that they stayed in it and they battled the way that they did, I really, really like that, and I like the poise that they showed.
Well, and that's the experience you want these young guys to be able to get. You want them to be put in situations that they're very uncomfortable in because you want them to be able to stay calm and perform to the best of their ability in situations like that. I mean, we talk about that in any sport. Anytime you get more playoff experience, you get more reps at your position, you play more, you get more starting minutes, whatever sport it may be in, and especially with these guys just making the move, a lot of them from Milwaukee to here. I think of Evangelista, how he was able to perform in a setting like that last night, and he rose to it. He was able to succeed in a situation like that. And I think a lot of the times we see different players, whether it be in the postseason, some players have reputations of, you know, squandering when all the lights are on them or the pressure's on them. But I think John Hines and Barry Trotz in this Predators organization, it's got to be pretty proud for some of these young guys stepping up. I mean, Luke Evangelista, he's obviously the young one that's turned everybody's heads as of recent. But I mean, even Tomasino getting on the board the other night, it's really good. You can't replace experience in reps just in practice. I mean, they need to be out there playing in these games, and it's exactly what they're doing right now, Chase.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I brought this up, you know, yesterday. We talked about it on our show, and then I brought it up with Caroline. I will combine the two pro sport, or two of the three pro sports here. Like, think about Malik Willis. If Malik Willis was playing right now in the XFL, how beneficial that could be to him when it comes to the Titans. That you let him play a full season in the XFL, get those game reps, be in those types of situations, and then he comes into training camp. I think he's light years ahead of where he is right now because of that experience. I equate that to the Predators. Luke Evangelista, you know, Parson earlier in the year, you know, these young guys, Glass got it last year, playing in Milwaukee, getting those game reps, and then they come to the NHL and they're continuing to get those game reps. But what that does for them, practice is important. Practice is where you learn terminology and you learn formations and all of that. But you cannot replicate what you get out of the game speed, being in that moment, how fast-paced it all is. And these guys are getting that unbelievable experience right now. And I think that's gonna take them far. And that's why David Poile and Barry Trotz decided now is the time to go ahead and do that, because you have a jump start on next year with a lot of these key guys that I think are going to be on the roster.
Well, and you also have nothing to lose at this point in time. All the players, the fan base, everybody who covers, watches, cheers for this Nashville Predators organization, and you know what is happening. You know that you sold at the deadline, so the expectation to make the playoffs isn't there. And before they made these big moves, I can assume that it was probably really stressful within the locker room, within the organization, on what are they going to do? The players have no idea. Is David Poile going to trade me? Are we going to sell at the deadline? We still are trying to fight for a playoff spot. Whereas now the message is very, very clear. We're getting a new general manager this summer. He's already working with our team. We sold off a lot of our veteran players. We have a lot of draft capital in this year's draft in Nashville. We brought up some young guys from Milwaukee. They're playing significant minutes. It's clear that the pressure isn't on this team like it was before, like it was a week and a half ago, right? So I almost think it probably was that monkey on their back for so long, because as much as we were wondering what this Predators organization was going to do, I have a feeling a lot of the older players within the locker room are wondering as well, because they knew they weren't playing their best. They knew that this team was scratching and clawing for a playoff position, and that they're pretty far out, and that the expectation here is to make the playoffs. But I think now that everybody knows the direction that this organization is going in, there's just been a lot of stress, I think, that has probably been taken off a lot of these players.
Yeah, I think so too. The pressure is off of them right now, and they can move forward with that. So I think that's That's certainly going to be a big thing for them. Now, I want to clear something up, and Nick's going to get mad at me, and I don't care. I'm going to pick on him a little bit. Colton Sissons last night scores on the backhand on a rebound, all right? And, Nick, what were your exact words in your tweet? You called that a garbage goal?
Correct. It is a garbage goal. Would
No,
you like
it's
to
not.
know why it's called a garbage goal?
Okay, give me your definition, and then I'll disagree with you.
A garbage goal is when you are in front of the net and any given opportunity that you have to knock it in, no matter how ugly it looks, no matter what angle it's coming from, because Colton clearly had the turnaround. And yes, was it a slick goal with his movement? Yes. In my opinion, it is a garbage goal in front of the net, and Silvis had no chance. I'm sorry, how do you say his name? Silovis is
I avoided trying to say his name.
Yeah, it's so hard. But anyway, that is the best way for me to explain what a garbage goal is after playing hockey all those years. You can disagree, that's fine, but I'm just telling you, after playing for many years, what our coach called it, and that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. I look at it as he's cleaning up the trash. That's like Max said that in the call, that he was cleaning up the trash there and put it in the back of the net. If I hear garbage goal, I think like garbage time, like an empty netter or whatever. But now that you have explained the definition, I will give you that. So maybe I won't disagree with you. It was pretty though with the backhand.
Yeah,
he
it
was
absolutely
right there on
was. Yeah, it was a money goal. I mean, and then Luke scoring those two. I really thought they would win in the shootout. But hey, bygones be bygones. But it's fine. We still got a point. We're still 6 points back of a playoff spot. So we'll see how they shape up. But I did call on Robbie and Rexroad. So if any members of the show are listening, I said.
Well,
Luke,
one's on this show, so
Luke,
yeah, they're listening.
Luke will score 4 points on this trip.
Okay,
and
so
he needs one more.
He just needs one more.
Yep.
Ooh,
that's
nice
interesting.
Shot, Keezer.
You told me that last night, and I said he's getting it. I think it's happening because he's confident right now. When I listen to him, and then now I watch him on the ice, he's got the right amount of cockiness that you need. Like he's got swagger, and I think he's gonna. And the fact that he's getting top line minutes is gonna help.
Well, and the big thing too is when you score a goal. And, even when I scored, when I was a freshman, I scored my first goal. You have that huge rush. And then afterwards, you feel so good about it that when you're searching for the back of the net more and more, and, I mean, McDavid probably doesn't have this anymore because he scores 50 goals a year now. But Evangelista, now that he's got that monkey off his back a little bit, just like how Tyson Barrie said, yeah, no more bagels with the new team, right? Well, Evangelista, he's going to run off of that adrenaline after last night, but now heading into a college environment where he's going to feel even more comfortable on Thursday night, he might score another one. So, I mean, once you get that one, you feel all the more confident to get more in hockey, and I'm sure Dan Heino is loving it right now.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question that he's loving it right now. Coming up next, Max Hers. He's loving it. We're going to see if he kept away from the Geese and also talk a little Preds with him. We'll do that coming up next. And your chance to win tickets to a Preds game as well. Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
Three ball, yes sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback and member of the Tennessee Titans Ring of Honor and Pro Football Hall of Fame. On the field, I always wore a helmet and pads to make sure I was protected. Life is no different. That's why I got vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. Protection keeps you in the game. Talk to your doctor and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19 today.
For more information, go to nflagearup.org/Tennessee. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card to their new location in Antioch at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, new location in Antioch at 2209 Murfreesboro Pike. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Krebs Kubota wants to help you get your job done right with the parts you need and a service department that can handle maintenance and repairs from the largest excavator to the smallest 2-cycle engine. For your farm, home, or commercial needs, Krebs Kubota will keep your Kubota running like a Kubota. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer, with convenient locations in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Also online at KrebsKubota.com.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I got some good news.
Taking you through your mid-morning, this is Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezvik, the reporter, Nick Keyser with you. Be listening. At the end of this segment, we'll have your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Seattle Kraken on March the 25th. That's Statue Day for Pekka Rinne. It's also the Hockey Fights Cancer Game at Bridgestone Arena. 1 o'clock puck drop at Bridgestone Arena. So we will have your chance to win tickets to that coming up at the end of this segment. Let's say hello to Max Hers, who did a fine job last night on the call with Hal Gill. He is in Vancouver. The team will head to Arizona as the Predators will take on the Coyotes on Thursday. But, Max, I have to start with the all-important question because you tweeted this out. Did you and Hal avoid the geese? Is everything okay?
Chase, the last thing I heard is we're going to start with an all-important question, and then I did not hear the question.
Oh, okay. It cut out. I will. Did you and Hal avoid the geese?
We did avoid the geese. Not all Canadians are polite, according to a government piece of signage here. And the non-polite Canadians are, as they would say on the great TV program Letterkenny, Canada Gooses.
Very well done. Very well done. All right, let's now get to the serious stuff with the game. I loved your call of Luke Evangelista's first NHL goal. He's been very impressive even before he put the puck in the back of the net. He's drawn penalties. I like the way that he's playing away from the puck. I know the coaches have been impressed with him. He said early on that he just wanted to earn each game. He's done that. He has earned each game, and the coaches have rewarded him by moving him up the lineup. He had some first-line minutes last night. What's been your impression of young Evangelista to this point?
Yeah, a lot of things, and he told me that about wanting to earn every game before the first game of the trip on Thursday during our pregame show, before his second NHL game, and he said the same thing last night to Emma Lingen in the postgame press conference after his fourth NHL game when he scored his first 2 NHL goals, and they were big goals, and he was robbed of a goal before that on probably the best scoring chance of the 3 back in, I believe, the second period. I guess it was the first period. It was the first period. And, I mean, he really easily could have had a hat trick in that game. And then the best part is they let him shoot in the shootout, too. So this is what the Preds are going to be like for the rest of the season. The young guys who are playing for looks, playing for the future, are going to get opportunity. And if they play well enough to push the team either close to the playoffs or even into the playoffs, which really still is within the realm of possibility and within a very realistic arm's reach for this team, it's just going to be how far they can carry them. And I've been so impressed with Evangelista. The drawing of the penalties has been so awesome. He has not backed down from anything, and he's kind of been the aggressor a lot of times, and he ends up with blood on his jersey last night. He's been so good. He's been all around the net. The tip-in goal is a great sign. It's just all around fun to watch.
Max Hers is with us from the Predators Radio Network. When I watch this team now, I just feel like the pressure is off. They have this weight off their shoulders, even with the veterans that are still here that weren't moved at the deadline, and they, who knows where that's going to take them. I heard David Poyle talking about that this morning, that he likes the position that they're in. They're far out of being in the draft lottery to get Bedard, but they have 13 draft picks after selling things off for this year's draft, and now they're still have a chance to get into the playoffs. When you watch them, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like there's just nothing to lose at this point?
Yeah, I think the way I would describe it is, for many of the individual players on the team, they are experiencing pressure, but it's the type of pressure that those players would experience in preseason. And that's when players like these guys, who aren't necessarily opening night NHLers this year, that's the type of pressure that drives guys like Kiefer Sherwood, who had an amazing preseason this year and made the team. Guys like John Leonard, guys who are more by-the-book prospects like Luke Evangelista. And hopefully down the stretch, guys like Cal Foote, who are trying to establish themselves as everyday NHL players. So there are a lot of guys like that. Rasmus Ostlund just acquired as a part of that group too. I mean, I could list half the lineup right now. But it's good pressure because they want to take advantage of every opportunity they have while it's being presented to them. Because who are up right now, who may not be up the rest of the season. Predators have a really long injury list, but hopefully at some point, Philip Forsberg will return. Hopefully Juuso Parssinen will return, and Phil Tomasino has missed one game now. Hopefully he'll be back on the Sooner side. But those are guys whose spots are vacated right now. So some of the group I mentioned, even though they've all played well, probably 2 or 3 of those guys are going to go down. And it's even the same for Michael McCarron, who we knew as an established NHLer before he went in the NHL Player Assistance Program. Sounds like everything's back great with him in his off-ice life, and he played well in Milwaukee. So it's a real competition for ice time, and I think some of the NHL players getting traded away just created spots for it to be like that. And I think the pressure is good. There is absolutely nothing to lose for these players right now, and it's freeing them up a little bit.
We got Max Hers on with us. He's in Vancouver right now. He's been on the call with Hal Gill. Max, you obviously mentioned Luke Evangelista. There's a lot of other young guys on this team who've gotten significant minutes since selling off some of the Predators' older guys. Who do you think, separate from Luke Evangelista, has been able to take the biggest step, you'd say, from joining this team and has been able to benefit the most from the amount of reps they've been getting these last couple of weeks?
I'm going to go with Tommy Novak, and I know he was on the team before that and doing well and playing power play and setting guys up, but he's getting to be a top-line center now, and I get the sense that John Hynes and the coaching staff want to find a way, for him to permanently center a line with Matt Duchene on a wing. And I think that pairing could work well for a couple of reasons, because we've seen those guys set each other up quite a bit. Both are good off the rush. I think Novak has done a really good job of being deliberate to the net a lot recently. And also the area they really want Novak to improve is face-offs, and you have Duchene with him and quote-unquote behind him to take more important draws or defensive zone draws, both as left-handed guys if you need to. So I think this is a really big opportunity for Novak because, if Novak doesn't continue to play as well as he has, and he's been great, then maybe the Predators think about going and getting another top 6 center this summer to play behind Ryan Johansson at 2C. But I think Novak really has a chance to make that him for next season. And Cody Glass is in that mix too, of course, but I think Novak really has come on lately, and I think They kind of know a little bit more what they have in Glass just because the sample size is larger, and they've both been great. But I would pick Novak in terms of the opportunity being larger.
And, during the trade deadline and after the trade deadline, we talk a lot about all the assets the Predators have now moving forward and all the draft picks they were able to accumulate in this time. But Tyson Barrie's a guy who the Preds were able to get, a veteran in this league, and has been able to help the Preds out on the power play a little bit. How much do you think he can help this power play? I mean, we've seen a little bit of it, but moving forward, how much do you think he can help it, especially since that's been one of the Preds' biggest weaknesses this year?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question, Michelle, because I think it's legitimately the most important thing about the team right now is Tyson Barrie. And obviously they got a lot more for Ekholm in that trade. Mm-hmm. They got the Oilers' first-round pick this year. They got the guy they took with their first-round pick last year, who was a really good point-per-game junior scorer, 19 years old. They also got a fourth-round pick. I think we are at the point where Tyson Barrie could be a Pred long-term and could fill Mattias Ekholm's hole in every way and be better offensively. I think he's been so good so far, and you got to keep in mind he doesn't really know the system yet. Mm-hmm. He's coming from a team, the Oilers, that does things very differently because of who is on that hockey team, and his responsibilities are very different. Now, it certainly helps that he's playing with, in my opinion, one of the 5 best defensive defensemen in the NHL in Ryan McDonagh. Mm-hmm. That is a really easy pair to hop in on. But there are so many challenges of changing teams. He did it on the road. His Oilers equipment bag got to our hotel in Florida at 3:30 before his first game. Then he played at 7, breaking in his gloves, breaking in equipment, and that's just not easy to do. And I think he's been really, really good. He scored his goal from the point on Saturday against the Blackhawks. He had a point shot for Luke Evangelista's tip-in for the tying goal last night. They haven't had a ton of time on the second power play, and that first power play, of course, belongs to Roman Josi. But I think they can get creative with that power play, and man, would I love to see a way for them to find Barrie and Josi spots together on that top power play. I don't know if they would necessarily go 2 defensemen, but count me in as all for it.
That would be very fun. And Max, quickly, of course, I have to ask you, you were with our very own Willie Donick as he was in a heated Twitter battle with Joe Rexrode regarding Vanderbilt men's basketball as they fight for a spot in the NCAA tournament and as they play in the SEC tournament this week. How are you guys going to be watching the games together if you have time? And how stressed is Willie, Max?
Well, Willie is always stressed about 1, basketball, and 2, Vanderbilt sports. But we watched the game against
Mississippi State.
I forget who we played. No, it was on Wednesday. We beat them, some blue team. They weren't very good, but we beat them.
Nice, nice.
We were in. I don't even want to call it a bar. We were in a restaurant in Florida. We had that on one TV, and they were playing 80s music, and another TV was showing all the music videos. So Willie was basically in heaven, having a great time. But yeah, Joe has really fired him up, and I think it's actually going to be the same as 2017, where Vandy gets in much more easily than anybody realizes. Hopefully this time Julia Louis-Dreyfus is not in the crowd as much as I love her when we get to the Madness, and Victor Davis doesn't foul with the lead. But I think they're going to get there. I did not get to watch the game Saturday. It was during our hockey game. And then I believe the first game on Thursday is also going to be during our game while we're playing in Arizona. But after that, we are freed up to watch Friday, Saturday, and Willie thinks Vanderbilt is getting to Sunday. If we get there, I'll watch with him. I'll put it that way.
Max, I'll tell you this: a little breaking news for you, because I'm forward thinking. I'm going to do pre and post from Barrel House on Thursday, so I can give you updates.
Oh,
there you go.
Nice. Hold it down.
If they win, maybe I'll get Stack on the post-game show. Who knows?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Then we get a rematch.
Talk some hockey.
Then we get a rematch, Max.
That would be awesome. Max, have fun in Vancouver and then on the trip to Arizona. Watch out for the geese on the way to the airport, and just watch out for Hal in general. Just make sure he's okay.
Oh, I have been. It's hard, but I have been.
Hey, do you have a trivia question for us so we can give some tickets away?
I do. Are we going to have people call? Should I be giving instructions? Or
yes, people need to call 615-737-1025, answer the question to Nick Keyser that Max is about to ask, and the first person to get it correct will win a pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Seattle Kraken on March the 25th at Bridgestone Arena. That is Statue Day, a 1 o'clock puck drop, also Hockey Fights Cancer Day.
All right. Luke Evangelista scored his first 2 goals last night in Vancouver, first 2 NHL goals. How many Preds have scored their first NHL goal this season? Bonus points if you know who they are, but all we need to know is how many. And I'll give you 2 hints. The first hint is 2 of them made their NHL debut this year. 2 of them had played in the NHL prior to this season. Oh, I just gave away the number, didn't I?
Did you just do it?
Okay, now you have to name. Okay, so since Max, we will
right,
work on the
4.
fly.
Name the 4.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, you go.
It's very clear. I think I slept 5 hours.
It's okay. The phones are lighting up, so there you go. We'll get a winner. Max, thank you as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. The answer is 4, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Max Hearns with us from Vancouver as the Predators continue their road trip. Nick will get a winner, and we will come back and get back into the Titans in the quarterback carousel going on in the NFL right now. How could that affect the two-tone blue? We'll discuss that coming up next here on Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think it's a really good move. TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All right, let's talk a little blend bar with Davidoff Cigars, my go-to spot downtown because I love old fashions, and they have the best old fashioned in the city. I've tried a lot of them, and there's some good ones, but this one is the best, voted over 14 other bars and restaurants in Nashville. They also have an exclusive relationship with Davidoff Cigars. They are the best cigars in the world. That allows them access to rare cigars that only Blend can carry. I was in there the other night after a Preds game. You can go hang out before an event, after an event, whatever you would like to do. And it's such a cool atmosphere, very laid back and very, very chill. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars has a VIP and private party area. If you want to get in on that, just call my man Jeremy and ask for him, and you can go and get that area with a big TV, leather-wrapped furniture, your own private bathroom and elevator. It's such a cool spot. 508 Church Street, downtown Nashville, blocks away from Bridgestone Arena, blocks away from Nissan Stadium and the Ryman Auditorium. It's Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars, and it's luxury redefined.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Tuesday, March 14th for College Night with Auburn University as your Nashville Predators take on the Detroit Red Wings. Purchase your College Night tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets to receive a limited edition Preds and Auburn co-branded hat. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Grab your tickets while you still can. We can't wait to see you back inside Bridgestone Arena. Let's go Preds!
Buying or selling a house doesn't have to be overwhelming. Wouldn't it be nice if you had 1 or 2 people there to help you with everything? That's exactly what the team at Regal Realty Group will do for you. Writing up the contract, scheduling the inspection and appraisal, meeting deadlines, making sure all paperwork is correct with the state, basically making sure that you are protected throughout the real estate process. Regal Realty Group will do it all for you, including their in-house title company, Monarch Title. It's contract to close convenience. Give them a call at 866-OUTKICK and let them get to work for you.
When you want live and local,
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
they've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years? The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. 102.5 Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
You're listening to Chase and Michelle, presented by Hair Club. Hair Club, love your hair, live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase and Michelle, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Michelle Knezovic, hanging out with you. Max gave a hard question, I guess. Nick trying to get a winner back there. Did you get a winner?
No, I do not have a winner. I've had someone get 3, and I gave him a chance, and he still got it wrong.
Well, do we need to come up with another question?
Perhaps.
Okay, well, you think on that.
Yeah, you think on
you come up with one, since Max made it too hard. People are still trying, though. I like their moxie. Look, we're giving away Predators tickets right now. Be listening during Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, because Kid Rock is coming to Bridgestone Arena on July 1st, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to be there because he puts on a fantastic show live. I've seen him a couple times. You'll have a chance to win a pair of tickets to Kid Rock before you can buy them. Tickets going on sale Friday at 10 o'clock.
It was 1989. How is that, Chase?
That's a good song, but it's not his best song. Like, I like the old school Kid Rock. Like, I'm all about Devil Without a Cause and Cowboy and Ba Wada Ba and that.
So
that
when
stuff.
so that song came out in 2009, and I distinctly remember riding. My mom had a convertible. We were riding in our little convertible with the top down, and we would sing that. That was like our song all summer long. I was probably only like 12 though, so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then like Devil Without a 2009, I mean, is what sounds right. Devil Without a Cause came out in 1999, I think is when it did. And that, I mean, he did this last time I saw him, because he can do country,
he can do
hip-hop,
it all,
rock, everything. And so he did this like cool part of his set where his DJ kind of called him out for his like country music photo shoots that he was doing. And he was like, okay, you want some old school? And he walks off stage, and then he comes back in the overalls and the hat and had the cigar and the beatbox or the boombox. And he starts doing like old school hip hop Kid Rock and got everybody going. Like, it was so cool.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a good show. And I he was at the Ally 400 a couple years ago with the Tootsies folks. So so I saw him getting on an elevator, but I've never met Kid Rock. I want to meet Kid Rock.
I passed him. Also has the best bar on Broadway, I personally think. And I passed him one time there, and I got a picture and sent it to my mom and all my aunts, and they freaked out because they love him so much.
Very nice. So you can win a pair of tickets to see Kid Rock July 1st at Bridgestone Arena. Just listen to Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace coming up in just a few minutes. Well, the quarterback carousel is in full swing in the NFL. Derek Carr has signed with the Saints, so he's going to be their quarterback. That means Jameis Winston, they're going to move on from him. Jameis is probably going to still be a backup, but there's going to be teams that jump on him, I believe. I think, why wouldn't you? He's a former first-round pick, so could take a chance on him. But what does that mean moving forward for the Titans? And the other thing, too, with the deadline for franchise tag coming up, Lamar is going to be tagged, but it's going to be the non-exclusive one. So that means other teams would have a chance to give him an offer. Baltimore could then match. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that, a team's going to come along and give him an offer, and then Baltimore is going to go, okay, we'll match it. And then it's done, and he's a Raven.
It's going to be interesting. You know what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. So that's my called shot, that he will not be with Baltimore. But, yeah, it looks like he's going to get that, just the franchise tag, so it's not going to be the exclusive one. So it's going to be a bidding war, it looks like.
Winner. We finally got one, so you can quit calling now because Nick was able to get a winner.
And texting.
So the Predators tickets have been given away. Congratulate. Who won?
Adam Barlow, our man up there in Portland.
Oh, Adam from Portland.
Right.
Awesome.
Adam in Portland, my man. Okay.
Also, Chase, really quick to the quarterback carousel, talking about Daniel Jones is also one to keep an eye out for today if the Giants decide to tag him, which I do think they will, but they're still in negotiations to try to come to a deal with him. That guy's asking for like $50 million a year, I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it, but they're not going to have a choice.
Nope.
What does this mean, though, for, like, let's say, because now the big fish is going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to trade for Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to stay in Green Bay? Is he going to retire? What is he going to do? If the Jets and the Raiders, either one of them miss out on him, I do wonder if they call the Titans and maybe offer to overpay for Ryan Tannehill. And with everything we've talked about today, whether it's Derrick Henry or what have you, would Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel consider that if they know they could get a little bit more than Tannehill is worth?
I mean, I definitely think the Jets, especially when you look at this Jets team, and they've made it very, very clear that they want Aaron Rodgers and they're going to go try to get him. And we thought, when I heard that Derek Carr signed with the Saints yesterday, I thought, okay, Jets are all in on Aaron Rodgers. And it's going to be a decision on whatever is going on in Aaron's head. Is he going to stay with the Packers? Is he going to retire? Or is he going to go with the Jets? I don't really see him going anywhere else. But if I'm the Jets, then I'm making phone calls to teams like the Titans who have a quarterback who could be serviceable enough to get this team to be a contender in the Super Bowl, because they have so much talent on that team. And I look at that defense, and really the only spot they're missing is quarterback. And they're not in the position to draft somebody. They just drafted Zach Wilson a couple years ago. They need a veteran guy who can plug into their system and be effective. I look at Ryan Tannehill. I'm trying to think of other guys around the league. Maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo. But
yeah, Jimmy, I feel like is going to be the
Raiders.
What's left?
Yeah,
he's going to be in that.
Baker question mark.
Yeah,
depending on
I
how
think
you
Baker
view
should
him.
stay in L.A.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we don't know what's happening with Matthew Stafford on his health. I think he'll try to come back. But if you're the Jets, I think you're looking at right now it's Aaron Rodgers, or it's you hope to then get a Ryan Tannehill or Jimmy G type quarterback.
Real quick, Jonathan Jones, who's an NFL insider for NFL on CBS, put this out, and this is via Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports. I know there's talk that the Titans are shopping running back Derrick Henry, but my sources tell me they are not. I have been told General Manager Rand Carthon will be methodical in his approach to free agency and changes to the team. The releases of tackle Taylor Lewan and receiver Robert Woods weren't surprising, and cutting loose edge rusher Bud Dupree also makes sense. I don't believe the Titans see any tangible free agent upgrade at quarterback over Ryan Tannehill, and taking away the most essential part of the offense in Henry would indicate Tennessee is tanking more than anything. The Titans can very much contend in the AFC South, and they'll have to do that with Henry. So we'll see what happens with that as we move forward. That's going to do it for us. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace coming up next. They'll continue this conversation on Derrick Henry, and Kid Rock tickets on the line as well. That's next on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with one interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared